Alright, making a video. I wasn't going to bother with Rorschach's Revenge or whatever the fuck he is. Ludite. It's got an icon of jumping into some kind of stuff. And he just wants to keep making jumpers and boulder pushers and other slaves to his delusions of accomplishment. And yeah, that's the real horror here. So again, let's understand context. That this is not an insignificant conversation. The welfare of zillions of sentient organisms lies in the balance, whether they will be enslaved to silly notions in people's silly little heads or not be enslaved to those notions. It's about imposition. Creation is imposition. You can't, again, get more in somebody's face than to be shoving them out of a vagina. These are just truths, and these people want to evade that subject and instead to do this personal thing. Alright, so another contextual fact, okay, is that Pierrot's daughter came up again because Pierrot chose to have a public room where he spent an hour and a half with inane morons like Skyzer, just making up psychological babble about other people's philosophy. So he basically invited the same kind of critique of his own psychology. If he wants to play in the psychology realm, then he's vulnerable to being, played with. And so he got what he gave. And he probably deserves much worse. Again, in the context of this conversation, I'm not insulting you people as jokes, funny haha. I'm doing it because I sincerely hate your motherfucking guts. I mean, I hate you, alright? It's not I'm not ambiguous about it. I hate what you think, and I hate what you represent. I hate the menace and puke that you are. I hate you. You're doing it because you're glib, frivolous assholes. You're doing it for fun. So right there is a huge difference. I mean, it really is a huge difference. So fuck you. But anyway, so let's just play along, see where it goes.
It's worth noting at the outset that controversy has sprung up on YouTube recently.
Well, he says there's a controversy. I haven't seen the controversy. So what would the form of the controversy be? Oh, wait, where Horizons was a little critical in his girly, wimpy manner. I don't know what do you want me to say? I don't see the controversy, but go ahead.
Inmendham used the death of Pyro 314's daughter to advance his dogmatic agenda.
Well, again, I didn't do that. What I did was use the daughter to advance an understanding that, look, Pierrot, you're gonna impugn other people's philosophy by implying and basically just stating that they have some sort of angst problem. They haven't gotten over being born rich or something. If you're going to use tactics like that, then you're vulnerable to having it turned around on you and people pointing out that, yeah, you're such a glibist. Okay, you're such a glib, insensitive piece of shit that even when it all goes wrong, you just sit there and can't figure it out. Yeah.
The most surprising thing about this is that people are surprised by Mendham's behavior. It should have been obvious long ago that we're dealing with someone of...
Well, again, honestly, who's surprised? Show us somebody who was surprised. Nobody. So you're just lying, right? That's a lie of a premise, right? I don't think there's a single individual surprised. So you go ahead and show me somebody surprised.
Pre-moral deficiency. The relevant difference...
Well, again, moral deficiency, I accept that. Yes, I am morally deficient. I have no use for the word morality. That's one of your dogmatic terms, okay? So if you're going to say I committed an ethical transgression, I went somewhere I'm not allowed to go, well then again I'm just going to point the finger right back at Pierrot, and then you explain his conduct first. So you think it's appropriate for the people on your side of the argument to use psychological bibble-babble against us, okay, impugn our character, impugn our motives, impugn the intellectual integrity of our beliefs, but we're not allowed to do the same thing to them. to you? Is that the hypocrisy of your playing field? At least you won't find any members among us who can't even identify somebody in a video correctly. Somebody they're supposed to care about. They can't identify them, they can't identify their philosophy, and then even after doing that all wrong, they still get it wrong about who they are and where they are, because they care so much. You people are a joke.
Between Hitler and inmendham is that the former had the intelligence and charisma to seize power. By contrast,
I don't know if it took all of that to do that, the seizing power thing. But anyway, let's see. What's the proper response to some sort of? Well, I mean, there's really no point, right? Because charisma wouldn't be a meaningful attribute to have, right? So that wouldn't be a meaningful distinction between me and Hitler. Because, charisma doesn't mean much.
inmendham is a slow, sniveling weakling unable to engage.
Yeah, well, whatever. You're the one who can't seem to engage in a conversation on the subject ever, right? And you certainly can't do it in some sort of socially useful way.
People in passing face-to-face conversation. In the video, What the Fuck, number 350, inmendham evidently encounters some persons while ranting and clomping about in the woods like a Neanderthal. He lowers his head.
Yeah, whatever. So these are all necessary elements of the story somehow. Like a Neanderthal. I don't think Neanderthals made videos. Pretty sure they didn't. Yeah, but whatever. You want me to? You want to have a contest of agility skills? I'm sure you're much more of a Neanderthal. You want to do some tight roping? Let's see, some juggling. Let's have some physical acuity skill test and see who wins. Asshole. I mean, I don't even. You did do a video where you were dancing, but that was edited. Yeah.
Like a shamed dog, gathers the gumption to let out a nasally hi, then mumbles just...
yeah, whatever. So apparently I'm not supposed to just do that greeting thing with people. You're not supposed to just do that traditional, like, hi, how are you, blah, blah, blah. Even if you hate their guts, you just say hi, yeah, just as a social nicety. Just to kind of ease the tension a little bit, because theoretically you really never know, especially when you're in the woods, do you? That the guy coming at you might not be like an axe murderer or something, and it just kind of helps a little bit. If they go hi, because usually the axe murderer won't do that.
Notifications to the camera, a sad stab at trivializing the foregoing display of obsequiousness.
This is somehow I'm obsequious because I don't choose to pick fights with people randomly on the street. Obviously, I haven't hid my identity like you have, okay? I mean, inmendham is the title of my channel, so I guess I'm not too afraid. Yeah, and you think that if the subject comes up, I'm going to be afraid to open my mouth? No. Silly person. Sorry, I mean, these are just silly accusations, right? And these people, the to be serious as the rest of these skanky cunts, just keep defending this. This is how they say the arguments are supposed to be made. Hypocrite much? No. Hypocrite all over the place.
Is, as pointed out in the previous post, the same guy who wants to torture the crushing majority of humanity for its willingness.
The crushing majority of humanity? No, I already said to you, the vast majority of humanity is already in no need of crushing. They're already behaving like anti-natalist, newsflash retard. Again, you are not the majority, idiot. You are a tiny minority of the human race who has more than 4 kids. Okay? And you're in a minority full of retards, and you want to talk Neanderthals? Yeah, Neanderthals. Who probably can't speak their own native language correctly. Yeah, that's the group you're among. Fucknut.
To affirm life and procreate. He's never recognized...
Well, affirm life, which means what? Affirm parasites, replication for the sake of replication, consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction, for no accomplishment except to satisfy his delusions of accomplishment, of course. And to procreate, again, right, to take a risk with somebody else's welfare for some ambiguous, oh, I hope they'll have a good time purpose. And you have the authority and the right to pull a straw for somebody else. And their life will be a straw. It'll be short or long, it'll be lucky or unlucky, and you're going to pull it. And because why? Because you're an arrogant fuck? I mean, what exactly is the reason besides you being an arrogant fuck? Oh, I guess there isn't one.
Styled this penchant for retributivism with this hard determinist view. A contradiction.
Retributionism with his hard determinist view. Again, determinism has absolutely nothing to do with behavior. You can't, freedom, free will, non-determinism wouldn't change how you have to approach life in any way whatsoever. It's exactly the same scenario. There's no undo button either way. The present is gone before it's even here, and the only thing there is the future, and you can do mental calculations while you're here to figure out what the future should look like. But so explain to me exactly how perspective changes, how behavior changes in a single way based on determinism. Go ahead, explain that to me, you fucking loser. Oh, that's right, you can't.
So glaring that even Forever Wolf Films might be able to pick up on it if she received a couple of decades of intense tutoring.
Yes, he's laughing at his own joke, like that was a funny joke. Yeah. Alright, and this is coming from a guy, like I said, who's vacillated all over the place in terms of his mopiness and his bizarre mood swings.
We'd have to start from the bottom. A, B, C. And this brings me to my central...
Yeah, whatever. That's what we have to do with you people, right? I mean, you can't even accept that creating a life is an imposition. You can't even accept the fact that the future is actually going to get here. And that what we do now is going to decide what the future looks like. You can't even figure out that B. And you're going to critique others. Hilarious.
Point. In the same video where inmendham proved himself to be a docile, unctuous mongrel upon facing other people directly,
I mean, you know, I said hello. I really don't understand. Again, you tell me, you go ahead and tell me how it's pragmatic or practical in my desire to spread my philosophy, to do it in some manner that's obnoxious to other people and disrespectful to their right. I mean, I think I like that my videos aren't forced in people's faces, that they have to press a play button or they have to press on the video. I wouldn't want them chained up and obliged, just as I wouldn't want to be chained up and obliged to listen to some religious kook. I mean, what exactly is it you want me to do? Is to engage people when they're having a walk in the park and a philosophical discussion they didn't ask or in any way indicate they were interested in? I mean, fucking A. I mean, should everybody walk up to 2B Serious every day and go, you big fat ass? Can't you do something about that? Jeez.
So attempted to get himself out of the contradiction identified in my post, inmendham doesn't care about suffering. There I argued that inmendham's desire to torture YouTubers like Pyro and Hitler...
Yeah, whatever. Hitler Day. It's not even saying it correctly. But anyway... torture them. Yeah, again, liar. These people, Hitler Day has basically now just conceded, okay, that he could torture a dog and it doesn't matter. Because it's a dumb beast, and dumb beasts don't count. So he's already outed himself as somebody, you know, below deserving any consideration for his welfare. I mean, deserve has to have something to do with this conversation. It's not irrelevant, and but yeah, if it's your silly statement that it's my intent to torture, I mean, it's just a silly statement. It's just an accusation you're making, right? What's the evidence that I intend to do that? I intend to illustrate a point, and then I think I successfully illustrate those points.
day surely commits him to a desire to torture most of the human race, given that almost everyone shares the former two individuals' life-approving sentiments.
Almost everyone. Anyway, so obviously the fallacy of the argument from popularity. Again, in history, there's been all kinds of wacky ideas that were very popular, and we know them now to be wacky ideas. So that just isn't going anywhere. What is there else to say to that? Yeah, I mean, it's just not an argument, right? It's just a non-argument. So you can say that, okay, well, most people think they've been indoctrinated by God theory. It totally owns the culture, and so the culture comes up with some word beastie, and now it can just sit there and pretend all the other sentient creatures on this planet are no longer a moral dilemma, an ethical dilemma. And that, to me, is that's supposed to respect that logic. We can evade the subject because traditionally we've evaded the subject. Oh, yeah, how big of you.
Said sentiments being the reasons that inmendham wants to exact the aforementioned cruelty, though surely he's too cowardly to do as such, much like his Ethel fantasies of world destruction.
Well, whatever. I mean, you want to put that to a test, go ahead. I mean, do you really think that if I could get a signed contract from the government exempting me from life imprisonment, that I wouldn't kill one of you fuckers in a cage match or something? That I wouldn't be glad to do it for the sake of the betterment of the human race, because you really are the scum of the earth. I really believe you to be absolute fucking scum. You really think I wouldn't? You really think there's something I should like about you? Or think that it's worth preserving in any way whatsoever? You're self-centered, selfish, nihilist, the torturers of sentient beings. And on top of that, all the animals, on top of that, you would impose torture on another human being for your ambition. I mean, you're despicable pieces of scum.
The torture will never be anywhere but in inmendham's atrophied, otherwise empty brain.
Yeah, so well, whatever. The torture is irrelevant to the subject. The subject is, can you someday come up with some sort of rational justification for your imposition of harm to satisfy your delusional dependency on a perception of earthlings in the universe? Yeah, can you do that? Can you come up with a rational explanation for why it's worth it for you to torture stuff?
Does this simpleton try to save himself? He claims that in the case of YouTubers who disagree with him, they know the Ethelist arguments, but still have not converted, ergo, to the dungeon with him. Hey, doesn't...
Well, I don't know. What dungeon is that? Really, yeah, I mean, if you explain to somebody about drinking and driving, and they keep drinking and driving, you're supposed to respect that decision? Or are you supposed to say, well, I have contempt for that guy. I hope I can figure out a way to, get him off the road. What happens to him? Who cares? You really don't think so? Anyway. Need a cigarette. I'm running out.
This sounds a lot like the conquistadors who gave the natives a chance to convert before slaughtering them. More Christian themes from inmendham.
Well, whatever. I don't even know what that means. I'm not allowed to dislike people. People who are profoundly, have a philosophy I find repugnant and disgusting. I'm not allowed to dislike them. So again, if somebody's a pedophile and he just says, oh, well, I'm not a pedophile, an apologetic pedophile, I'm an aggressive pedophile, and I think pedophilia is super cool, and yeah, I'm going to keep doing it, I shouldn't hate that person or despise that person. They have absolutely no humility regarding the harm they're going to cause children. And I'm supposed to, what, be friends with them? Oh, please.
Most optimists, by contrast, can truthfully claim ignorance of the hideous, chattering troll doll sacred words, and so have a pass. The implicit...
I don't know, he's laughing at his own jokes again. Sacred doll, sacred words, what? What was that? Yeah, newsflash. Maybe you ought to read your script ahead of time, get all your little giggling out of your system before you read your script. Because, yeah, there's no point in laughing at your own jokes. It looks really lame.
Assumption here is that if the optimists of the world were informed of ephilism, they would then cast down their collective love of life. But anyone...
Well, at least you're calling it the right thing, right? Their collective love of life. I guess I'd love to know what that is made out of. The love of the risk game. They play with other people's welfare. Oh, okay. Love of what? Satisfying their particular silly addictions. Being caught in bigoted ego games. You know, where the Mets are better than the Globetrotters or something, or whatever the bullshit is. Being a silly watcher of soap opera. Yeah. Life-loving. You mean, being gratified to feed on other people's failure. Seems like the substance of their life-loving. Win the lottery. Yeah, steal all those people's welfare money. You know, all the welfare money wasted on all those lottery tickets. Yeah, steal all that stuff. You take it.
Who isn't too stupid to fill out a tax return knows that this is a claptrap. The unkept baboon
Isn't too stupid to fill out a tax return. I mean, you probably should have used some other standard. I mean, tax returns can be a fucking pain in the ass. I mean, to figure out which... Is this interest for this year or for that year? And does it count as income, or does it count as a dividend, or is it, I mean, does it cover inflation? Is this medical expense a medical expense, or is it a durable refrigerator, or is it a, I mean, that can get pretty complicated.
and has been grunting his irrefutable arguments online for nearly a...
Well, whatever. If you don't mind me pointing out, you look like you're getting fat again. I just thought I'd let you know. You look really fat.
decade at this point. And whose support has he so far won? Almost without...
Well, whatever. Again, not relevant. I make arguments on the internet. I don't know how many times I have to say that, but yeah, I make arguments. Okay, what I get back is crap, and then I throw some shit at the crap throwers. But most of my videos are arguments. Yeah. Like at the Ephilis channel, which is just a bunch of videos, just making 15 minutes just to point out reality to you people who are confused.
Exception that of depressive, mishappen losers. In other words, the people inclined to or possessing an...
Yeah. Well, it's true. It's going to be a lot easier for somebody who has been burned, stung, harmed, hurt, to understand the danger. And obviously people who haven't aren't going to understand. You haven't died yet you claim to know what it's all about. But you haven't done it, have you? There's a whole pile of... Yeah, clock. Meows like a cat. Anyway, it's broken, but sometimes it works. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so, I mean, that is a problem. That obviously I acquired this philosophy. Somebody didn't persuade me of it, you know. So, I mean, I acquired it because I got enough of a taste of life in the early years to say, wow, this ain't anything I would buy. How come somebody shoved this in my pocket? Seems like a pretty shitty deal.
Life view in the first place. You'd find less nightmare material on the set of a George...
So he's laughing again, like it's all a funny subject, right? Suffering is funny, ha ha ha, especially when it's somebody else's, that I disregard their welfare and imposes the risk on them, ha ha ha. See, I mean, this is why it's all kind of the glib, right? Because he's talking as if there's some horror that's been committed against Piero. His daughter's fucking dead, and she's dead for reasons. And you people all want to just pretend that it's not for some reasons, right? Right.
Marrow film in the Ephilis Enclave. How's about a brief rundown? First up, Forever Wolf film.
You know, whatever. So now he's just going to rag on people. Well, we'll see. I'm not really interested.
Her videos comprise a long mope by a
Well,
bit.
whatever. Let's see where else he goes.
Next is a newcomer worthy of abuse. It's Marco 1. He doesn't have the distinct...
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, again, you got any direct quotes from these people? No. Anything real to critique? No. So you're just going to insult people while you complain about other people insulting people. To be serious much?
This buffoon pulls that off and then some, putting him down on the IQ.
Yeah, whatever. Keep trying. We'll see where we have to go to get back to a video.
And sex 2. We hate that even more. Our God has no truck with you.
Sex 2.
Interestingly, during an Eiffel circle jerk on which
go back on this.
Hindering the inexorable march of truth. Besides reality, aren't you the same fucker that made procreation real? And sex 2. We hate that even more. Our God has no truck with you.
I don't even know what that means, right? No, it's you people that seem to can't separate sex from procreation. It's your kind that seems to have a problem doing that. They can't figure out the dynamics of a condom. Yeah, you can figure out how to file tax returns, but you can't figure out how to use a condom. Skyzer.
Interestingly, during an Eiffel circle jerk on which a dissenter stepped in, the bullshit facade vanished. Marco showed that he's a supine, swarmy worm when engaging real opposition. My, that switch from alpha to beta is like lightning on the internet.
Is that a funny joke? Gee, I just don't... isn't it funny? Gee, that switching! He switched to personalities and got angry. People shouldn't do that on the internet. Okay.
And talks in a circle, assuring everyone that he wants to keep the lines of communication with anti-Eiffelists open, going so far as to express reservations about inmendham's style. Would Marco have aired those feelings around the grand architect of the one truth had he been present?
Whatever. He's made his critiques, okay? He has this belief that you communicate with the world in some sort of mishy-mushy, bibbly-babbly way. And it's not entirely incorrect that you have to get close enough to people before you can stick a bomb up their ass. Yeah, so there's no disagreement about that. There really isn't.
You won't last long in these parts with that loose tongue, boy. Better stick it where it needs sticking. The Eiffel peach shoot. Stay away from them. Dangerous.
Yeah, whatever. So just like you to go there. You do seem like a anally fixated shit-eater.
Indeed, least, and inmendham himself, progenitor of the stinking Eiffel blight. You remember it's IGHT, right? Go through inmendham's archive, the existence of which is itself the best reason to endorse Eiffelism, and find a video wherein he reads off the screen. You will hear the stumbling, maladroit narration of a kindergartner. Keep in mind...
I don't know. This is what, Mr. What? What if you can't even make a video without this whatever this is. This is interesting. Mr. What? 4-foot neck?
I know this is the guy who claims to be a genius, a view shared by many of his epistemic slaves. Is it any wonder that, with this level of literacy, he never got past high school?
Yeah, whatever. That's the joke of it, right? Yes, I never got past high school, and all you people with all your past high school literacy can't seem to make a rational argument that defeats me. All you can do is insult, 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 insult. You're pathetic. Loser.
Is it surprising that he's frustrated in a world entirely beyond his understanding, laughed off by everyone with a hint of...
Yeah, right, beyond my understanding. I wish you'd make this video about what the truth is then. But you can't do that, can you? Because you're the one confused. It's all beyond your understanding. That's why you have to use all these convoluted bullshit words, this epistemic and all this other bullshit, is because you can't figure out even what knowledge is. You can't figure out what knowledge is. You can't figure out what a truth is. You can't figure out what a statement is. You can't figure out what logic is. Alright, you're the one stuck in some sort of confusion. I'm the one saying, look, it's not that complicated. There's a universe full of energy. The energy gets trapped in the form of matter. Sometimes the matter, as happened on Earth, apparently it is possible anyway, that it becomes a sentient as part of a toolkit in a carnage war to gain dominance of a DNA molecule. Yeah, and then it gains all this nuance, all this singing and dancing on the skulls of the high attrition necessary to maintain the game. Thousands must be abused, disposed of, shown the exit, so the one good guy can get in. So you're the one living your little Hitler fantasy.
Intelligence, and so tries to drape simplistic explanations over it while asserting his preeminent...
Yeah, well, go ahead. Explain where the complexity comes from. Go ahead. Make one mumbo-jumbo bullshit video where you claim some supernatural knowledge, some supernatural ambition, some supernatural desire or motivator besides the obvious desires and motivators that have nothing to do with anything supernatural and have everything to do with just crude and stupid, egomaniacal, selfish motherfuckers. Yeah, you're just an icon for stupid, selfish, ignorance, and want. You are the classic failure.
Williams, a defense mechanism gone awry. Every time I see that...
Defense mechanism gone awry. It was funny, wasn't it? Oh, no, it wasn't.
Ethel visage like a melted mannequin toppled with a lank afro. A hair-filled hog snouted.
Yeah, he's making one of those black people jokes, you know, afro, so he laughed at that. He's really a racist.
I can't help but chuckle at the stupidity par excellence that follows.
Oh, apparently you can't help a lot of things. So that's one of your problems, is you just can't help it because your little brain just doesn't have any rational inhibitors. Yes.
The sheer wretchedness of this growling animal holding all the dialectical power of a damp 2x4. He's like,
alright, dialectical power of a damp 2x4. So a dry 2x4 is somehow more dialectical. I don't know. I mean, you almost could argue a damp 2x4 is a lot more interesting than a dry 2x4. You certainly could have a lot more stuff going on there. So I don't know if that means much. Yeah, I'd say it was kind of a meaningless comparison. You are a tongue in an anus.
Kind of person I normally have great sympathy for and want to help, but there's no helping a vicious primate who'd opened 1,000 factory farms.
Well, whatever. Vicious primate? You know, I mean, that's sort of an oxymoronic. I mean, most primates are not vicious. And when they are, it's in defense of something precious. So that analogy doesn't really go anywhere. Yeah. I mean, you've got to pick something else vicious.
If so doing would accelerate global extinction. Best to throw his petty cruelty back at him and his clutch of pariahs.
Yeah, well, whatever. Okay, you might be able to get to some of the pariahs some of the time, but you're never going to get to me with that kind of crap. I mean, really, you think you're actually going to be able to hurt me in some way? You? Hurt me? Yeah, that's one of those things you could laugh at. Okay, there's no way you can get to me. Because, unlike you people, I don't have something to defend or justify. I don't have a problem doing that. I'm willing to justify myself. I'm willing to explain myself. Unlike idiots like you and Piro who just make up shit, you know, who just say, oh yeah, I got burned, but because, well, I was a reckless asshole, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be a reckless asshole, because, yeah, I can't be a hypocrite. I can't say I should have a right to be a reckless asshole and not give you the right to be a reckless asshole, even though I know that doesn't make any sense. Even though I know that I should have learned something by being a drunk driver, that drunk driving is bad, and I shouldn't be endorsing other people drinking and driving. Just because I did it, I have to say everybody else should be allowed to do it too. That's your kind of silly logic.
I can already hear the forthcoming bitching and moaning about the ad hom and malice of this piece. Sorry, I have...
No, I don't care. But again, I'm just saying that the real value for people to realize is that, again, why is he doing it? Because he thinks my philosophy is bad and harmful? Or is he doing it because he's trying to rationalize and excuse his own behavior? And vice versa. You could apply the standard. Do I ridicule things for the fun of it, or do I ridicule them because I sincerely believe them to be a harm, a threat, dangerous, evil?
Sympathy for people who laugh at the deaths of children. Clearly a source of...
Again, not laughing at the deaths of children, but mocking the idea that these glib, self-centered, egomaniacal fuck-asses give a rat's motherfucking ass. They pretend to like people, they pretend to be people's friends, they pretend to do all kinds of things, and there's absolutely no sincerity in any of it. And if you examine their behavior, you can see that. They don't watch their videos. Piero doesn't watch my videos, and yet he'll comment on my philosophy. That's called being a motherfucking cunt.
Great happiness for them while pretending to care about suffering. Also, a little note...
Well, again, if he actually believes that, then this is a fair cop. But do you think he actually believes that? He actually believes I don't care.
For those too stupid to have learned this by now, a claim qualifies as ad hominem if it's intended to refute an argument on the basis of irrelevant facts or alleged facts about the person making the argument. If one's goal is to show that someone is depraved, despicable wretch, then personal insults are key.
Right. So you understand. He actually then thinks that, like him, I guess, this is all some sort of joke I'm on. I'm on some sort of joke party. And that if I really couldn't, like if there was really an animal farm, that he doesn't think I would show up at Animal Farm and help the animals kill the humans. You know, that wouldn't be something completely consistent with, yeah, inmendham would do that. Yeah.
Of course, inmendham has the latter aim all the time, while laughably propping himself up as the paragon of ethical conduct.
No, I don't do that. What I say is there is a paragon, and we should always look at it. We should always try to be better than we are. And you people want to keep making rationalizations not to even try. Alright? At least I'm going to say we should try. I should be a lot better person than I am. A lot better. And every day I let myself know that. Every day I say I got to do better. Alright? I'm always looking up. Alright? And you're the asshole saying, I don't want the job. I don't want to have to be, I don't want to fix things. I don't want the bother of building a nest before I lay eggs. You just don't want the bother that comes with the activities you want to participate in. You don't want to pay the freight for them. You don't want to pay the cost of doing them right. You're like architects who just don't want to go to school. They just want to make buildings. And they just don't give a fuck if they fall down. And that's what makes you despicable.
Thus inviting censure. My point here is simple. Well-adjusted, socially capable people won't, by and large, be swayed by effalism. None of them.
Yeah, whatever. Says you. And if you're wrong, what kind of penance are you going to pay for your obnoxiousness? Oh, I was wrong. Yeah, it's always typical. But yes, if we allow deadheads like you to be somehow an impediment to making the argument, well then, yeah, we're losers. But frankly, the fact is you people do suck. Humans by nature suck, and that is a problem to overcome. And clearly it's a problem you haven't fixed in the world either. And you're the one still having babies into that world, which makes you even more irresponsible. Because you're not providing solutions, you're just providing more chaos that'll get in the way of solutions. So, you're not investing in anything rational here.
Consequence of philosophical counters and the like, but because they'll be deeply opposed to it on a primitive level.
Well, on a primitive level, I mean, how hard is it for somebody to just say, gee, isn't that something that with progress people should be past? Is advocating surrendering to the primitive level. Isn't that exactly why we have conversation about racism and ethnic cleansing and all this other stuff, is that we're hoping to someday be free of being controlled by our primitive level. So that right there is just, I'm going to be defeated by the primitive level problem. No, I think you're going to be defeated by that. Your type, again, you're the one in the preposterously ignorant and stupid minority. All right, go Google images on people with more than 4 kids. That's your demographic, retard.
It's like inmendham's whole system is probably the product of nothing more than his own misery. But that claim will have to wait for when I begin dissecting the Ethel Gospel.
Yeah, whatever. You've done that before and then deleted the video, so you have no dissection to do. You're not going to unravel any of this because it's all your psychological problem. You're the one with a psychological problem. You can't point to a thing that needs life to exist in the universe. There's no need served. There's nothing accomplished. The only thing that satisfies your delusion. You're the one who needs it. Like an American needs baseball. Like an English person needs cricket. Or the monarchy. It's their dependency. It doesn't have anything to do with anything real. We know that we could snap our fingers and pull or extract those things out of existence, and there'd be no real harm done, no real anything. They just replace that silly indulgence with some other silly indulgence. And you know it.
If you try some simple counterfactual reasoning, what if everybody had to watch inmendham videos? This will become painfully apparent. It follows, in light of the information already provided on my blog, that inmendham is...
I don't know what that means, but whatever.
Ultimately committed to an interest in torturing almost everyone alive.
Yeah, whatever. Interest in torturing almost everyone alive. Torture them by arguing with their primitive beliefs. Gee, what a stupid thing to do. Argue with primitive beliefs, primitive notions, primitive addictions. Gee, don't do that, humans. No, don't try to overcome your primitive problem.
Hence, he is ultimately committed to hugely expanding human suffering.
Yeah, whatever. We're not even, like I said, do you really think he believes that? Or do you think that's just a dishonest slander? Come on. Tell the truth, fuckers. Tell the truth, Karen. Tell the truth, Dew in the douchebag morning. Skyzer, another asshole. Quackakakaka. I mean, this is just a list of total asswipes. And of course, Wayward's in there. Jesus. I should read his comment. You ought to reconsider whose work you promote. I don't even know what that means. Not that going after Gary isn't fair game. Okay, so he thinks it's okay to pretty much, slander me with idiotic arguments. I mean, arguments that I'm supposed to somehow provoke a fight with people in a park. And not exchange pleasantries. If that's a fair argument, Wayward. Sorry, I don't get it. But you're going to attack other people in the community. Well, again, why should there be any distinction, frankly? I mean, are you really just little weak members, or are you thinkers that can stand on your own feet? If he can attack me, why can't he attack you? What, because you're all wonderful, beautiful, fantastic people who don't ever transgress, don't ever commit a crime, or who maybe don't ever make any fucking videos. Many of whom are nice folk who have no part in this other than guilt by association. Well, again, this is a thing where anybody at any time can disassociate and make their own arguments. There's no need to belong to the Democratic Party or something. You can believe in rational economics without having to be a Democrat. You can believe in things without having to join some kind of club. So again, there's no association necessary. I mean, fuck you. You're really not much better than the person you claim to despise so much. Well, again, not much better than, as if, again, you're going to tell me that I committed the first crimes against people, that I'm the one who crossed the personal lines. It was what Pirro did in his little public room, okay, calling you some angsty little rich kid. That was okay. It was okay for him to malign your philosophy with some discussion about your psychology. That was legitimate, fair game. I mean, fuck you in this bullshit. Again, you wanna go sing song with everybody and skip down the loo down the road. Well, that's your business. I'm in this for real reasons, not social reasons. So I really couldn't give a rat's ass about the social component, and I couldn't care less about destroying every ounce of the social component, because all I really give a fuck about is doing whatever's required to maintain the integrity of the philosophical conversation. But whatever. God Eater, another one of these. He's not an atheist, obviously. He's one of these moon childs. I think that's one of these people he actually called that. Yeah, space child. Yeah, you have the mind of a child. Wow. Yeah, good self-labeling. So I should read comments. Maybe I'll do that some other time. Really just don't have the energy for it right now. So this was a bit of a waste of time, but I suppose it has to be done now and then. Like I said, one could spend an awful lot of time analyzing the public statements of this lunatic, this cross-dresser. He's 1 minute over he plays philosophy like a candy flute. Just keeps biting pieces off and making different notes, and it's never the same instrument every day. No consistency whatsoever. So anyway, except his pettiness, his petty need to somehow hurt the inmendham. Sticks and stones, buddy. Mud, poo. I mean, I've seen it all. So you're not gonna beat me in you're just not. I've mud wrestled enough. I know how to do it. So try something else, because this ain't gonna work. Till next time.